तो जब हम स्टैंडर्ड फॉर्म्स की बात करते हैं तो स्टैंडर्ड फॉर्म्स बहुत आसान है समझना। फॉर सपोज ऐसे ही रैंडमली सबसे पहले लेट्स स्टार्ट ऑफ विथ 10 × 10। हम 10 × 10 को क्या कहते हैं जी? 10 100 कहते हैं इसे, ठीक है। पर ये 10 × 10 बेसिकली 10 स्क्वायर भी तो होता है, जो कि 10 स्क्वायर क्या बन जाता है आपका? 100 बन जाता है। सिमिलरली 100 × 10 क्या हो जाता है? 1000, विच मीन्स 100 × 10 आपका 10 का क्यूब भी बन जाएगा। दैट मीन्स 10 × 10 × 10 is also my 1000. Similarly, मेरे पास 1000 × 1000 क्या हो जाता है? 1 2 3 4 5 6। तो 1000 × 1000 क्या बन जाएगा मेरे पास? 10⁻, 1 2 3 4 5 6, जितने जीरो है वो सारे जीरोस टॉप पे आ गए। तो यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड कि योर स्टैंडर्ड फॉर्म is generally one decimal place. Your standard form is generally one decimal place, which means कि अगर मैं बोलूं 376,000 376,000, इस 376,000 को लिखने का तरीका ये भी है 376 × 10⁻³ इस 376 × 10⁻³ भी तो लिख सकता हूँ। क्यों? क्योंकि कितने जीरो हैं मेरे पास? 1 2 3। पर इसका मतलब ये भी होता है कि अगर मेरे पास डेसिमल प्लेस मैं कहाँ जा रहा हूँ, नजर आ रहा है कि भाई मुझे आगे से पीछे जाना है, तो 1 2 3 कितना हो गया? 3 डेसिमल प्लेस कहाँ जाना है? पीछे जाना है। तो दैट इज द रीजन 376 × 10⁻³ हो गया। पर यही चीज अगर मैं बोलूं कि भाई इसी डेसिमल प्लेस को फर्दर मुझे और पीछे लेके जाना पड़ेगा 1 डेसिमल प्लेस तक, तो ये क्या हो जाएगा? 3 तक तो है ही है, ये क्या हो जाएगा? 4 और 5। तो विच मीन्स दिस शुड बी 3.76 into 10⁻5। बेसिकली 3.76 into 10⁻5, 3.76 into 10⁻5 का मतलब क्या हुआ? 3.76 into 10 into 10 into 10 into 10 into 10। ये हर एक जीरो बेसिकली किसको रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है? उसके डेसिमल प्लेस को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है। कि जो मेरे पास ओरिजिनल वैल्यू थी वो क्या थी? मेरे पास ओरिजिनल वैल्यू थी 376,000। तो अगर मेरे पास पॉइंट यहाँ पे मौजूद है एंड 10⁻5 है, तो इसका मतलब मैं 5 डेसिमल प्लेस आगे जा सकता हूँ। तो मेरे पास क्या मिल जाएगा? मेरे पास ओरिजिनल वैल्यू मिल जाएगी। क्या मिल जाएगी? ओरिजिनल वैल्यू। तो every time whenever you need to give your standard form, you need to convert your answer to 1 decimal place, and that is the reason that will be called your standard form. Now example, if I say 176.23 multiply by 10⁻², multiply by 10⁻². Now I need to give this in the standard forms. I need to give this in the standard. How many decimal place will I go back? 1 and 2. How many decimal place I'll go back? I need to have 1 decimal place. So this should be 1.76 into 10. I already had 2 here. And I again went 2 backwards. So that means 2 plus 2 will become what? 4. So that when I open this 1.76 into 10⁻4, which means 10 into 10 into 10 into 10, which means 176, obviously these 2 zeros will be cancelled, and obviously further on you can have 2 more zeros. So that means my end result should be 171623, because obviously I had the value 176.23, right? So if I need to just open back this thing again, it will be 17623. अब यहाँ पे जो एग्जाम्पल है वो क्या बता रहा है? एक्सप्रेस 0.00000706 in the standard form. Standard form should be clear to you guys that it should always be one decimal place. It should always be one decimal place. Now we already know that 0.00000706. Your one decimal place starts from where? From the number. So that means how many decimal places you will be moving forward? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means your actual value is this, which is 0.00000706. But since you need to write down this thing in the standard forms, so this should be 7.06, but now your 10 to the power should be -5, because when you will open this 10 to the power -5, what does this mean? 10 to the power -5 means whenever there is a negative power, it should go in the denominator if it is in the numerator. So it will convert what? Positive. And when anything is being divided, that means your number will further decrease. Your number will further decrease. So that means this is your standard form which is required. This is your standard form. And the reason we are putting in negative sign, because actually we had more lesser number than 7.06. So whenever you will be coming forward from the original point, whenever you will be coming forward, आगे की तरफ आओगे, तो हम क्या करेंगे? पावर पे नेगेटिव अप्लाई करेंगे. पावर पे क्या अप्लाई करेंगे? नेगेटिव. तो आना कहाँ पे? 1 डेसिमल प्लेस पे. तो जब मुझे 1 डेसिमल प्लेस पे ही आना है, तो आई नो दिस थिंग कि 1 2 3 4 5 कितने डेसिमल प्लेस आगे आना है? 5 डेसिमल प्लेस आगे आना है. तो 7.06 मल्टीप्लाई बाय 10 to the power 5 कर दूंगा. So that means if decimal places have to be moved from left to right to have standard form, then power to be in negative. Then the power to be in what? Negative. Similarly, if decimal places, I would say, have to be moved from right to left to have standard form. Standard form is 1 decimal place. Then power to be positive. These are the two things that you need to follow. Now, what does this question say? A mass of grain of rice is 0.00002. क्या बोल रहे हैं कि जो एक राइस का दाना है उसका जो वेट है वो है 0.00002. इसको लिख लेते हैं ऐसे ही 0.00002. बोलो write 0.00002 in the standard form. So that means your standard form will be, how many decimal places are we moving from left to right? 1 2 3 4 5. Obviously after the number it will be 1 decimal place. So whenever we are moving from left to right, the standard form, the power will be what? Negative. So that means the answer for this particular thing will be, 2 into 10 to the power negative 5. As simple as that, nothing more, nothing less. So 2 into 10 to the power negative 5 will be your standard form. Now the question says write down the number 0.000034 in the standard form. So this should be 0.000034. How many places are we moving? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3.4 into 10 to the power negative 5 will be the answer in the form of, in the standard form. Another example, write down the number 35000000 in the standard form. So point is here now. How many points we'll move backward? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many points we are moving? 7 points. So this should be 3.5 into 10 to the power 7. Since we are moving from right to left, the power will be positive. So the answer for this is 3.5 into 10 to the power 7. Another example, write down the number 0.034 into 10 to the power negative 3. तो जी यहाँ पे क्या होगा 0.034 है इंटू 10 to the power negative 3. ये ऑलरेडी नेगेटिव में है. तो जब मैं और पीछे से जब आगे आ रहा हूँ लेफ्ट टू राइट, how many decimal place? 1 and 2. So that means the negative powers will further increase. So this should be 3.4 into 10 to the power negative 5. Example to the same question, if this was 3400 into 10 to the power negative 5. If this was 3400 into 10 to the power negative 5, then what would have been done? For this case, you need to understand that the decimal is here, because there is no decimal can be found out here. So if decimal is not found out, that means I need to go backward. 1, 2, 3. So when I am going backwards as 3.4 into, so how many decimal places I moved backwards? 1, 2, 3. So this should be 10 minus 5 plus 3. That means we will have what? Minus 2 left. Because the original value of this would be 3.3400 into 10 to the power 5 minus 5. What does this mean? This means that negative 5 decimal points backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0.03400 is the answer. If I just open this thing out, and again, if I want to just write down in the decimal form, how many decimal places I'll move forward? 1, 2. So this would be 3.4 into 10 to the power negative 2. So in this case, what I really want to understand is that if the numbers are positive and the power is negative, if the numbers are positive and the powers are negative, so what we are supposed to do is we need to have one decimal place and we are moving from right to left. So 1, 2, 3. How many decimal place we moved? 3. So this should be 3.4 into 10 to the power minus 3. Because we already have negative powers. If yes, if we wouldn't have any power, that means 3400 into nothing. Let's say 3400 is the answer. And I just need to write down the standard form. This would have been 3.4 into 10 to the power 3. But since I had negative 6, I have to move from right to left. So 3 powers would be added to this. So that means minus 6 plus 3 will become what? Minus 3 overall. Okay, moving further with standard forms. Now we are increasing the level. I would just name it as level 2. The first level was knowing what is standard form. Now we are solving standard form. Let's see. I tell you that we have 2.3 multiplied by 10 to the power 6 minus 1.2 into 10 to the power 5. Now, the examiner expects you to solve this, and the examiner expects you to solve it without calculator. If the examiner expects you to solve this without calculator, you need to understand that there is a negative value in between. There is a negative value in between. So whenever there is a negative or positive value, what you can best do is to take common out. To take common out. But to have common, you can't take the common from the number. You can't take common from the numbers. That means 2.3 and 1.2 will not give you common. What common you can have is from the 10 to the power 6 and 10 to the power 5. How? We can eventually change this 10 to the power 6 to 10 to the power 5, or we can change this 10 to the power 5 to 10 to the power 6. So if we just change your normal value, which is 22.3, if we move one decimal place ahead, so that means this 10 to the power 6 will become 10 to the power 5 minus 1.2 into 10 to the power 5 is already there. Why did I shift that? Because I needed to have a number with the same power. So 2.3, when the decimal place moves ahead, obviously there would be negative power included, right? Whenever you turn from left to right, you introduce a negative power. So you are moving just one step ahead. So that means 6 minus 1 will become what? 5. So your answer to this would be, let's just take 10 as common. So this is 23 minus 1.2, and your 10 to the power 5 is common here. 10 to the power 5 will become common. 23 minus 1.2. 23 minus 1 is 22. And 22 minus 0.2 will be 21.8 into 10 to the power 5. 21.8 into 10 to the power 5. This does not seem to be standard form. Why? Standard form is normally what? Standard form is one decimal place. So to convert this to one decimal place, we need to shift this decimal backward. That means there should be 2.18. 2.18. Whenever the decimal from right to left goes, we add a positive number. So that means 5 plus 1 become what? 10 to the power 6. So this is the answer when you have been given a question in such a way that it has to be subtracted or added. So you need to make sure that your powers are same. So why do we need to have the power same? Because we can easily take out 10 to the power 5 or any value to the power as common, and then we can subtract this. We can't subtract 22.3 into 10 to the power 6 minus 1.2 into 10 to the power 5. For this, you need calculator. But without calculator, you need to make sure that you need to have powers as same. Now there is another example question. इसमें क्या हो रहा है भाई? ये देखें. 5.98 multiplied by 10 to the power 21 minus 6.58 multiplied by 10 to the power 20. Since मुझे नजर आ रहा है कि ये नेगेटिव है, अगर नेगेटिव पॉजिटिव होगा तो we have chance of taking common, but to take the common we need to have same power. So we can either have two options. या तो हम इसको 6.58 को हम 0.658 करके 10 to the power 21 कर दें और फिर माइनस कर दें, तो वो थोड़ा मुश्किल हो जाएगा. The other thing what we can do is we can have 59.8 multiply by 10 to the power 20 हो गया, क्योंकि जब हम लेफ्ट से राइट आते हैं तो नेगेटिव पावर होती है. क्या होती है? नेगेटिव पावर. तो एक डेसिमल प्लेस आ रहा है. 21 माइनस 1 कितना हो गया? 20 minus 6.58 into 10 to the power 20. Can we have 10 to the power 20 common? 59.8 minus 6.58. Multiply by 10 to the power 20. Now, you need to understand this, that this is 2 decimal place after the decimal. And this is 1 decimal place after the decimal. So can we write this as 59.80 minus 6.58 multiply by 10 to the power 20? This is same thing, right? 59.80 minus 6.58. If we just minus 80 minus 58, if we just do 80 minus 58, so what do we get? 80 minus 58, we get 0.22. We get 0.22. Whereas if we minus 59 minus 6, if we minus 59 minus 6, what do we get? 59 minus 6, 53. So that means the entire value should be 53, 59 minus 6.22 multiply by 10 to the power 20. Multiply by 10 to the power 20. Because what we did was we subtracted, first we subtracted only 0.80 minus 0.58. We got 0.22. And 59 minus 6, we got what? 53. So we made sure we write it down as 53.22. But this is not your standard form. Your standard form is always 1 decimal place. So this should be 5.322 into. Since we are going from right to left, power will be added and 1 decimal place is moving, so 1 will be added. So this should be 10 to the power 21. So the answer is 5.322 into 10 to the power 21. For what? For the question that is given as example. Another example, it says 4.8 into 10 to the power 7 minus 1.4 into 10 to the power 7. You see that this is being subtracted. Whenever there is a subtraction or addition, you take the common 4.8 minus 1.4 and the common here is 10 to the power 7 being multiplied. So this is 0.8 minus 0.4. There should be 0.4 and 4 minus 1 should be what? 3. Which means into 10 to the power 7. Since it is already in 1 decimal place, so this is already in the standard forms. Another example question. We have 1.85 into 10 to the power 7 minus 9.2 into 10 to the power 6. So if we see that if we change this 9.2 to 10 to the power 7, this should be 0.92 into 10 to the power 7. So it will get difficult. So what we can do is, we can shift point ahead. So this is 18.5 into, when the decimal is coming from left to right, obviously you introduce a negative power. So negative 1 because of 1 decimal movement. 7 minus 1 will be 10 to the power 6 minus 9.2 into 10 to the power 6. So what do we have here? 18.5 minus 9.2 and the value is 10 to the power 6. So 18 minus 9 is 9 and 5 minus 2 is 3. So this should be 9.3 into 10 to the power 6. This is already in 1 decimal place. So that means this question is already in the standard form. So if you see that we have 4 multiplied by 10 to the power 5 plus 7 multiplied by 10 to the power 6. So if we change this 7 into 10 to the power 5, so that means this should be what? 7 and 0 point again. So that will be 10 to the power 5. But in the easier manner, we can always shift 4 to 0.4 into 10 to the power 6 plus 7 into 10 to the power 6. So that means 0.4 into 7 is 7.4 into 10 to the power 6, which is your answer because this is already in the standard form. So that's about it from the first lecture of standard form. Remember that standard form, it looks like an easy topic, but it has more into the questions than what we really think.